Hey everyone, so today I'm going to show you how to make the most delicious chicken and dumplings that I've been making for years, and I just wanted to share this with you today. I started with 2 skin-on, bone-in chicken thighs, and I used chicken thighs because they have the best flavor. The dark meat gives chicken and dumplings great flavor, and I used 2 celery stalks cut in half. That's going to add delicious flavor to this recipe. I'm going to remove those from the broth after the chicken is done, and you're just going to want to let that simmer, and then a great tip is to add some chopped onions. If you don't like the bits and pieces of onions in the chicken and dumplings, you can always cut an onion in half and just remove the entire onion from the broth prior to adding the dumplings and the chicken back into the recipe. So you just want to let this cook, come to a good boil. And this pan, y'all, I just wanted to share with you this. It's a Cuisinart pan, and I use this for so many different recipes. It's just a great pan to have on hand. It's nonstick. It's so versatile. You can cook so many things in it. And so you're just going to want to let that chicken simmer for about 45 minutes. And as you can see, I did add a chicken breast to this recipe. I just wanted there to be a little bit of white meat chicken in with the dark meat. But the dark meat makes a wonderful chicken broth. It makes it rich and so flavorful. You see how the chicken broth has started to really just have that rich color to it. It's going to have an amazing taste as well. So once your chicken is done, you're just going to want to remove that from the pan and let it cool and debone it. And it's been cooking for about 45 minutes, and you can use a strainer if you don't want the chopped onions in the chicken base of this chicken broth base of the recipe, but I'm just going to just use a slotted spoon to remove the chicken from that chicken broth and remove those celery pieces. I'm going to discard the celery pieces because that was just added to flavor the chicken stock. And so I'm just going to let this cool on a plate, and I'm going to debone it and add that back to the recipe once it is cooled. And you want to let the broth come to another good rolling boil, and then you're going to add your dumplings. And this is the first time I've actually used this brand of dumplings, the Mary Hills brand, and let me tell you, they were absolutely delicious. I will use this brand of dumplings. They're frozen dumplings that you can get in almost any grocery store or market, and it's very low in sodium, no artificial ingredients. And I do like how Mary Hill Dumplings, they add a Bible verse scripture on most all of their products, I learned, and I just think that's great. I believe the Lord will bless companies that do that acknowledge God and honor His Word. And so if you'll notice, the dumplings, they come in long strips, and they're divided by parchment paper, and you're just going to break those in little pieces, ever how big you want those pieces to be. I just do them in little bite-sized pieces, and just add that to the broth that's boiling. And these were just so delicious. They're very flavorful. The chicken broth and the celery and the other seasonings that you'll see me add in a few minutes really, really add flavor to these dumplings. And I do not regret buying this brand. I do have another brand that I do like to use for chicken and dumplings. But I will say this brand, Mary Hills, is the best in my opinion. And now I have rolled out dumplings before, totally homemade with flour and shortening, and I've done that, and it's a little bit of work, but it's worth it. But I have come to learn that these frozen dumplings taste delicious. They are so good. You will not regret using these for your chicken and dumplings. So as you can see, I let the chicken cool. I deboned it and I cut it into little bite-sized pieces, shredded some of it. And the seasonings I used was black peppercorn, some salt, dash garlic and herb seasoning. And that's the seasonings that I used for this recipe. And I'm going to be using a couple tablespoons of butter and about 2.5 cups of milk to this recipe. And also I'm going to be adding some cream of chicken towards the end, right before the dumplings are done. And as you can see, the dumplings have absorbed most all of that chicken broth. Sometimes I'll add canned chicken broth, but by the dumplings absorbing the chicken broth, they are going to be even more flavorful. So I'm adding the 2.5 cups of milk, and I'm just going to give that a good stir. And this is a cooking spoon that my daughter bought me, and I just really have enjoyed using that. It has a long handle, and it's really going to come in handy this winter and fall when I start making my gumbo. I usually use a very large pot, a tall pot, for making gumbo, and so I'm really going to enjoy that spoon, that utensil, whenever I start making the gumbo. So I'm adding the seasoning back to the chicken broth and the milk that I've added. And let me tell you, that seasoning mix is just right for these dumplings. And I know someone who does add a little bit of Italian seasoning to their dumplings, and I tried it once, and adding Italian seasoning, you would be surprised how good it makes dumplings. And a little bit of oregano is also good added to dumplings. You see how thin those dumplings are? I mean, they taste so homemade. You would never know these were frozen dumplings. They taste like they were made from scratch. I kid you not. So it's come to a good simmer, and I'm adding the chicken, cream of chicken here. This is really, really going to add to the flavor of these dumplings. It also gives it, a little bit of thickness. It's going to make this texture perfect for a good, delicious bowl of chicken and dumplings. Creamy, just delicious. And this is a great dish to serve during the fall weather, the winter weather. I cook it in the summer as well. It makes a great side dish, and it's also delicious with a side of fried okra. I don't know if you like fried okra, but fried okra is the perfect side dish to chicken and dumplings. I just love the two as a combination for a meal. It's really good. So then you're just going to add the shredded or chopped chicken back to your dumplings. And just a little tip, I have learned over the years to add the chicken after the dumplings are thoroughly cooked. Otherwise, I've had situations where the chicken would stick to the bottom of the pan when I added it with the dumplings as they were cooking, and it never turned out that great. So I advise to wait and add the chicken after the dumplings have cooked through. So these are just about ready to be served. And I'm telling you, this is a delicious recipe. I really hope you guys make it. Let me know if you do. This is a great side dish. You could serve all types of meats with this. You could make a meatloaf and serve this as one of your side dishes. You could make pork chops and use this as a side dish. There's so many different options with chicken and dumplings. It's just a delicious meal, comfort food at its finest. So I served myself up a bowl, and let me tell you, they were out of this world delicious. I really enjoyed it. I had been craving chicken and dumplings for about 3 weeks, and finally I just said I'm going to make me a little pot of chicken and dumplings. And I want you to know there was enough left over that I was able to freeze some. And if you have any freezer safe containers and you want to just make a big pot of chicken and dumplings, these will freeze really well in your freezer up to 3 months. And I had enough for 3 good sized bowls, and I just put those in my freezer, and they'll be good for another 3 months. It's good for whenever you just don't feel like cooking that day and you just want a good hearty delicious bowl of chicken and dumplings. Something quick and simple. You just take them out of your freezer, let them thaw, and you can even warm them up in the microwave or in a pot on your stove. And I'm going to really enjoy having these chicken and dumplings in my freezer to have at a later time. And they are just delicious. It has a wonderful taste with all the seasonings. And I did have one of my subscribers request that I make a peach cobbler. So I'm going to try to find some fresh peaches and upload a video of a peach cobbler recipe. And I do thank you all for being here and watching my channel. And I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day. Let me know if you make this recipe. If you do, I hope you like it, and God bless you.